Welcome to Blueprints. Grab your tea. I'm having water. There is so much noise because I'm filming outside in the afternoon, so I apologize in advance. I have some emotional processing to do today because I have found out in the last couple weeks, but especially this past week, that I am sincerely afraid of my own success. Let's get ready to rumble. Let me jot down a few notes so that I know where I'm going with this. Okay, I have 3 questions for myself. How do I handle fear and indecision? How do I convince myself that new ideas are worthwhile? And how do I build endurance within perseverance? First, I want to show you what's behind me, because the way this white balance is set up, you're not going to get to see what I see. Hold on. It's pretty dope, right? There is nowhere on earth like Sierra Leone. I love this place so much. Did I stick to my 12-week plan for the last 2 weeks? No, I did not. No, I did not. There are a couple flaws with the plan that I had laid out. I'll go over them together. For one, I did not actually flesh out all of my goals. I have some blank pages that I need to get back to in terms of what I want to flesh out. And then 2, I have way too many big goals for 1 quarter. Like, I think that I should be moving towards 1 big goal per quarter, and I thought that I could get 3 or 4 done. I tend to have my own understanding of my work capacity is warped from the years in which I was working on maximum overdrive. And there was just nothing that I could really do about that. So I would work until I drop, work until I completely burn out, work until I have nothing left to give, and then use that as my baseline for what I was able to produce. I was also in employment situations, educational situations where my bosses or supervisors or professors, etc., were either benefited from me working until I dropped or thought that that was the correct thing to do, because academia is the plantation model. The 12-week goals that I had originally set that I wanted to get done by March 22nd, I have to reassess these and go, it's not that there's no way, it's that I don't think that you're willing to pay the cost of what all of these things cost at once. And the other thing is, you don't need to pay the cost of what all of these things cost at once. You can move a little bit slower and have that be okay. I would rather be really, really excellent in one regard, excellent by my standards. I'd rather be really, really excellent in one regard than be passing or mediocre or just barely making it in 3. True mastery is mastery to self. And also, I was not properly prepared for how much emotional trauma and tumult I was going to have to navigate. Oh, I'm smiling. That's how you know I'm nervous. I was not prepared for how much emotional trauma and tumult that I was going to have to unearth and navigate in moving towards goals that sincerely frighten me. But the person that I am becoming, the person I've committed to becoming, creates new blueprints for how we move in public, how we engage with public figures in that audience public figure relationship, and it reevaluates in a public place what we owe to one another as people that are still in connection with one another. I mean, I've said this before, but I have a desire to move about celebrity and success in a way that is liberatory and generative, and not in a way that stacks personal funds such that I can extract myself from the masses as soon as possible. I am the masses, and I don't have a desire to be barred from the people in that way. So I had 4 big areas of growth that I wanted to, I had 4 big goals that I assigned into classes. One called Social Media Civil Celebrity, one about my Small Prophecies course, one about the Dewey Review, and then one about creating curriculum for clients, evergreen curriculum that could be expanded. All of these could be their own quarter, quite frankly. All of them, each and every one of them could be their own quarter. Now, there has to be some overlap in terms of what I work on when, like all of these projects are active right now. However, I need to do a better job of prioritizing what needs to happen in what sequential order, because prioritizing them all equally is straight up too much work. I am consistently not meeting my goals. I'm failing. I am feeling that feeling of failure and attaching that to a personal narrative perspective, as in you are a failure rather than you have failed. Those two do very different things in your psyche. And is resulting in me running from my plan because my plan is painful. So that just means I need to change my plan. I have a really hard time with changing the plan because it means that I have to admit to myself that I can't do the thing that I set out to do, or that I'm unwilling to do the thing that I set out to do. Because it's really not that I can't do it. I can. But it would require me to not spend any time with my family, to not really have any breaks, to operate at maximum capacity and prioritize work above everything. And as I have been saying, I don't have a desire to do that. I don't think that that is a balanced way to live my life, and I do not think that it treats my body kindly, and my body treats me so kindly. I am reevaluating once again my relationship to fear, because all of these goals scare me individually, but certainly them in tandem, them happening on top of one another, is really, really, really quite frightening. So, to my questions for today. How do I handle fear and indecision? In previous iterations, I have handled fear and indecision by simply not handling it. I would wait and freeze until life would force my hand, and thus freezing is somewhat of a decision in and of itself. But the decision that I would make when faced with multiple right options or multiple wrong options, or just feeling like I was not in my most ideal circumstance, not feeling confident in myself and my ability to make a decision that moved my life forward in a way that I could sustain, was just to not move, was just to avoid the confrontation, avoid the topic, I am very, very avoidant when it comes to conflict that I don't feel like I can solve immediately. And I'm that same way with fear. Like I've been writing about, I have to now develop an adult relationship with my fear and the fears that I have, because I am now regulated to a point where I can feel them. In childhood, in adolescence, in early adulthood, I did not have time to be afraid. Fear felt like a wasted emotion because I had to do it anyways. So it's just like, buck up, you got to do it anyways. There's not really a point in sitting here and going, I'm scared. You have to do it. So I didn't really think about it. I just kind of cast the fear out of my body, did the thing, and then felt it all 10 times over once my body slowed down and regulated itself enough such that I was actually able to feel how scared I was in those moments where I was making decisions that could have gone really wrong. Now, again, in terms of, I don't want to be stressed all the time. I don't want to stack stress in my body. I want to make sure that I treat my body and mind well. That also means being regulated enough to be able to feel fear in real time. And, spoiler alert, that's really frightening. I had to sit down, my ankles were killing me. Feeling fear in real time in my body is really quite frightening. I know. It's very similar, honestly, to having an adult relationship with my finances. Growing up in poverty, you don't have to think that hard about money because you don't have it. And your strategy for budgeting or surviving is don't spend money. It's very infantile, but it works, I suppose, because there's not really a lot to think about. In having far more decisions, you are also provided with more ways that you can mess up, more ways that you can go wrong, and it still feels really, really urgent to make sure that you get everything right, because it still feels in your nervous system, it still feels in your body mindscape, it still feels like everything is really, really, really high stakes, feels really high stakes. You make one wrong move in poverty, you make one wrong recurring payment, you make one wrong false step, and then that money gets sucked out of your account, you're in overdraw, you have to pay fees, you can't go through on the light bill, etc. It's a domino effect immediately. And now, with more sovereignty comes more responsibility, with more power and capital comes more responsibility. There are more than one right option at this point in time. I don't know what to do automatically anymore. There isn't one bright right answer, gleaming in neon lights, and that is really, really scary, especially because my body has not yet, I'm a new adult still, I am 26, so my body has not yet had enough life experience to know that failure is truly okay. It still does feel like there's going to be a huge domino effect. It still feels like the world is ending. It still feels like I have erred on some deep moral plane. Fear and indecision kicked my ass over the last 2 weeks, which means that I did not move forward in my life like I wanted to. I missed an entire week of thinking in ink. I was just like too frightened to do it. I was too scared. I didn't get my transcript for my book done. And I'm having, okay, I don't want to talk too much about this before it actually happens. Time is not linear. I just want to be careful about the things that I say. I have desires to go about publishing and dissemination of a book in a way that I have never seen before. So that in and of itself is frightening, because I am like, if I fail, not only do I have to go back to the drawing board, I also, it'll be a pretty big hit to my self-confidence, which is already a bit shaky at the moment. And also, just in case you didn't know, I don't tend to struggle with anxiety. I don't tend to struggle with self-confidence. Like, I generally, the right answer in life is very obvious and apparent to me, and I, press B, I get, yeah, you got the right answer, and I move forward. Like, it typically does not require a lot of me to figure out where I should be going next and what I should be doing in what order. So this is really like, I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm very far out of my comfort zone. I understand that coming out of my comfort zone is where I go to grow, and it's a necessary step in the process of maturation, in the process of growing as an artist, in the process of gaining confidence. You actually have to step out of your comfort zone in order to expand your surety about what you can do, right? Confidence really is just surety about what you can do. I understand that I need to exit my comfort zone to do that, but I'm actually in it right now, and it's really fucking frightening. I'm scared. My life circumstance is not one anymore where if I don't move forward, I'm risking life or death. Now it's about seeing what I can do for the sake of expansion. Now my processes of expansion are about moving out of surety of success rather than fear of failure. And that's a really different circumstance. How do I convince myself that new ideas are in fact worthwhile? This is also something that I'm having trouble with. Every human has a resistance to implementing new ideas because we get comfortable in the way that we do things that we know works, even if it stops working at a point in time. So fundraising, the reason that I stopped with SLAYS, organizing for universal basic income with Ebola survivors, is because I don't think that the crowdsourcing model is going to work for this long term. At the time that I machinated this project with the team at Social Income at the top of 2023. So I had just been successful in acquisition of farm equipment for my tribe. I was really excited about that. I was riding on a high thinking about how much was possible with crowdsourcing. And while I do think that crowdsourcing is a really good way to get acute projects done, it is not very good for long-term engagement unless that audience has a very particular stake in you individually, which is the case for me. I am essentially on a universal basic income program that is funded by the public so that I continue my scholarship. It is why I call myself a public scholar. However, that same level of rigorous love and attention does not magically apply to the people that I care about, because they are not me on screen fostering a relationship. And I mean, I've talked about this. It took me some time to work through my emotions about this, and ultimately I'm compelled by strategy. Once I was like, okay, this isn't actually going to work long term. We're going to be caught in these cycles of funding, and Social Income has a model that transitions you out after 3 years. However, this is a disabled population who's not magically going to be able to work after 3 years of income. I was like, yeah, I want to do something different. I have never seen what I'm attempting to do before, which is to sell a piece of intellectual property as a community asset, meaning that the people that the book was written about would be receiving every benefit of that book. Like, all of the money that the physical book produces would be going to them, either in full or in part. This kind of teases multiple projects, but like, hush, he's sponsored. How do I convince myself that new ideas are worthwhile? I think that comes from generating a self-confidence that I am lacking at the moment. If you have any ideas, I would really like to know. This is where that manifestation book has been really helpful. Writing something over and over and over again grooves it into my psyche. So I think I need to write a new sentence, something about something about like the surety of success. Like, I know that this project will work out, or rather this project has worked out, and I feel so relieved, so peaceful, so quietly confident. What I want to return to is the quiet confidence of knowing that I can do it. And right now, my confidence feels very, what's the word? Not fractured, frazzled. It feels like it dissipates in air really quickly. I want, again, that quiet, streamlined confidence that happens when you know that you can do the thing. Even if it's hard, even if it's difficult, you sit back, like, it's not even a sweat. You don't have to sweat it because you know that you can do it. You know what I'm saying? 3, how do I build endurance within perseverance? I think I have to start working out rigorously again. I was on the phone with my sister. Actually, full disclosure, this blueprint was supposed to be about my personal study. What books am I reading in my first quarter to be able to help me move towards my goals? And I was like, nope, I need to be honest about the fact that I haven't been hitting my goals in the last 2 weeks, that I have scored less than 85% on, actually, I haven't even done my scoring for real on the last 2 weeks of my 12-week year, but it most definitely is under 85% in every single one of my categories. Let's see. Yeah, didn't hit 3 short videos, didn't hit 1 essay per 10 days. I have been really consistent on blueprints. I have been consistent on live, but that has been interrupted by the TikTok ban and them not bringing back live, so that was kind of out of my jurisdiction. However, I could be live on Instagram. Let me not, take all the blame off me. It was a choice. I also did travel within the last 2 weeks, and traveling to Sierra Leone requires 3 planes, a very long taxi ride, and a boat. So maybe I should have been like, okay, be realistic about what you can get done this week. Let's see. And then I didn't make any progress on my Small Prophecies course. I did make progress on the Do You review, but progress was research-based and sourcing-based, so it didn't require, it didn't produce outcomes, and that always makes me feel like I'm not doing anything. And then I didn't really make progress on my course development for my clients. So I just it was not a great 2 weeks. In terms of productivity, in terms of family time, leaving, travel, logistics, making sure that I said bye to people well, that kind of stuff, I did that. My priorities were different than the priorities that I had listed out on paper. I need a little bit more wiggle room in that. However, building endurance within perseverance is not a skill that I really have. I'm very used to instant success. I'm very, very used to instant gratification. I'm used to getting my way. I'm used to getting things immediately. I never really had to study in high school, even in college. I didn't really have to study, and then when I did, I didn't do that well in that class because I didn't have any techniques to push myself in endurance when I didn't get it the first or second or third time. I have always just been someone that played to my strengths. I think I need to start working out rigorously again. One of the books that I have read or am reading in my first quarter of January, originally I wanted all these books read in January. That was ambitious. It's like 15 books. Girl, what? With what time? Building a Second Brain talks about how you can use your digital systems to create that same sort of mental garden that I Can Study kind of references. I'm the only one using the term mental garden. They both have different terms for what they're talking about here. However, it's the idea that information is strongest when you're able to relate that information to one another in a systemized way of thinking and processing. And I fuck with it. One thing that Building a Second Brain talks about is asking your friends and family what you were obsessed with as a kid, because you have more than one passion, you have more than one talent in this life, and you want to be doing more than one thing, and that's okay. And oftentimes as children or as adolescents, somewhere along the line, we hear that you have to streamline, you have to pick one, you have to hone down and focus on one thing, and you lose that ability to have interconnected relationships in your mental scape, and then thus you lose that ability to have all of these interconnected hobbies, disciplines, projects, works, relationships in your physical material life. So I was on the phone with my sister. I called her and I was like, what was I obsessed with as a kid? Like, what would you say, your impressions of me were, in which you were like, yeah, Ismotu really likes this. And she said, you were really athletic. And I was like, oh. She was like, yeah, you had a lot of discipline and drive with athleticism, gymnastics, dance, you were so good at it. And you took it really seriously. And even when we didn't have the money to continue in formalized programs, you practiced on your own. You worked to fund it yourself. You were really, really serious about making sure that you had places to exert all your energy. And I just remember you being so strong and so athletic. And I was like, you're right. I actually took it really seriously. I ran track, I did ballet, I was a tumbler. I took athleticism very, very seriously. And then I became not a professional dancer. I was a professional dancer. I danced for a living and I got really good at it. And now I don't really have any physical disciplines that anchor my body down anymore. And I need to. I think that's something in balance that I don't have. And one thing that working out or having a strength routine or flexibility routine or ballet, something that is really physically challenging, is that you're the only thing standing between you and what you want to achieve in terms of your physical discipline is your mind. Typically, like if you are setting goals that are within the realm of achievement for your physical body, when you are doing it, or when you're setting up to do it, or when you're going to work out, etc., the thing that is going to be your biggest barrier is not your body, it is your mind. It requires you to build endurance in perseverance. Like, I can endure what it takes to persevere through this next one set, through this next rep, through this next pass, etc. Even though my body is screaming, and even though my mind is like, we can stop at any time. You have to say, okay, but just one more, but just one more, but just do it again, but just one more. And I think that some of the confidence that I need to be able to push myself through these realities of not just like not having it quite yet is in the way that my mind talks to my body and my body talks to my mind, not just about work, but about the ways that I care for my body. It's been a really emotional 2 weeks, especially as I had a really stellar week 1. The top of week 2 was really good, and then I just stopped. Like, I stopped because I was failing and I didn't want to contend with that failure. I didn't want to contend with what it actually costs to have the things that I want, which it costs me a really significant amount of family time. I don't get to be around like my little cousins and brother as they continue to age, and every time I am around, it makes it very clear that they do miss me and that they wish that I was around. And that's not just true for the babies, it's true for everybody. Like, my mom really wants me around. My dad. It would be, everyone understands that I am not living a life where I can just be around all the time. And when I was a teenager, you know, like really sick of my mom's house and sick of the instability and just like really, really ready to like strike it out on my own and see if I could do it. The isolation was really thrilling. Even though it was lonely, like it felt more good than bad. And now that I'm an adult and my relationship with my parents have changed a lot, especially as my mom has been sick, realizing like what the life that I want actually costs me, that I can't, you know, be there for her every day while she goes through chemo, and I would like to be, or I can't be there for her in the middle of the night when she's in pain. And it was a blessing to be able to do that over the last month. I can't be there while, you know, my little ones learn to read and paint and walk. I can't be there while my little brother like navigates college, and everyone understands why. But I'm like, my priorities have changed. I would really like to be around my family all the time, and I'm also so simultaneously obsessed with my work. I love what I do, and I know that I could do it well. It just requires a lot of loneliness, and I've never felt in my body how sad that makes me, and how afraid I am that like I'm missing things that I'm never gonna get back. I don't actually know if I'm making the right decision, especially because I'm not yet in a material reality where everything has worked out and I have like all the success that I've ever dreamed of. So right now, I wouldn't quite say that I'm in the valley of despair quite yet. I actually think that I have to, I think that there's a come down a little bit more. I don't think I've hit the valley of despair yet, but I'm on my way down through that loop, and just like I'm paying the cost. You know, you always have to pay the cost before you get the life. And I cannot say that it's not tough. It's really tough. Okay, well, that's where I'm ending this. It's not that I don't feel like it's worth it. I do in my bones feel like it's worth it. And I think that me trading this time now is just gonna open up the opportunity for us to have more time in like my 30s. It's just, it sucks. It sucks right now. And I have to believe that it's worth it. Truly, like, everything that I do for my family. For me and my family. I'm not, the idea of being legendary is not to like stroke my own ego primarily. It's to make sure that the people that are coming after me, my descendants, that they feel delighted to pick up the torch that I left. That they have systems, that they have someone to teach them, whether I'm here or not.
that goes for the people that are my direct blood descendants and the people that have been inspired by me to be able to do good and beautiful things in this world. I know that it's worth it. I just really miss my mom. All right. I'll see you next week.